Guess what? You have the confidence inside of you already to achieve any musical goal that you want, including auditioning. So, how do you hone your confidence? Well, my friend, that is with the Confident Musician's Audition Guide. This guide is to get you from the practice room to on the stage for your auditions. We talk about everything, including planning your practice, that's in Chapter 1, working with accompanists in Chapter 3, getting into the zone at auditions, that's in Chapter 5. Chapter 2 is all about mental practice, setting up mock auditions, and basically everything about mock auditions in Chapter 4, and auditioners, which is scattered throughout the whole guide, and a load more. Seriously, this 43-page guide is my baby. I have poured my heart and soul into this to make sure it is exactly what you need for your auditions. So whether you are just about to go into your auditions, thinking about how you are going to start auditioning, or just curious about how auditioning works, this guide is for you. Let's be honest, the auditioning process might be a short process, but the effects of it can be life-changing. So invest in you, and let's make this the audition season of confidence. Let's get you auditioning with confidence. Check out the show notes for the link to your copy, or visit confidentmusicianing.com. And studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland means that I am surrounded by this amazing group of oboists who have all been playing the European style their whole entire oboe career. And I have been doing it for a month. Hello and welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. My name is Eleanor and I am a British-American oboist studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Literally my dream school. And it took me a long way to get there. I applied and auditioned for 12 schools in 3 different countries. It was a lot of hard work, but oh my gosh, so worth it. I want you to have the confidence to work hard in achieving your goals. So come with me as we go on this journey together. So sit down, pull up a chair, take a seat, or if you're on the go, welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. Okay, so it has been basically the first month of university. So freaking exciting. My first month at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland studying oboe. And it's been amazing, but there's one thing that I knew would happen, and that's happening now. So today, we're being vulnerable. So I have moved from the US to the UK to study oboe at the RCS, at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and that means that I've also changed my style of oboe playing from the American style to the European style. And that means basically I'm learning a whole new way to play the oboe. It's like a big thing. And studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland means that I am surrounded by this amazing group of oboists who have all been playing the European style their whole entire oboe career. And I have been doing it for a month. And so, we can maybe just conclude that even though I am very much improving, sometimes I feel a little intimidated by them. Like, they're so good. And, sometimes in the late hours of the evening, after many practice sessions, I feel just a wee bit intimidated by the fact that the rest of the oboes have been doing this their entire life, and I have been doing it for a month. Yeah. But that's okay. So, to me, I was sitting and thinking about this, and I was like, okay, I think comparison is a choice. Comparison is a choice. Even though it's subconscious, it is a choice, we choose to compare. And we can also choose to change those brain waves into not comparing. I remember when I did my audition for the Peabody Institute of Music in Baltimore. That was a huge deal, and I got there and I was super ready and I was ready to go. I was like, okay, let's do this. And I got into the room, or the whole way outside, and I heard the girl before me, and she was so much better than I was. Like, just absolutely everything. Her tone, her technique, her articulation, just basically everything was so good. And I lost all of my confidence. It just went pooh away. And one of the things I decided I was going to do two things to get that confidence back. And those two things, it's actually literally the second episode in the Confident Musicianing podcast. I'll put a link below in the show notes, in the description, so that you can see it and you don't have to scroll. But there was basically two things that I did that really helped me get that confidence back and to stop comparing myself. And we kind of touch on those things and some other things today. So how do we combat comparison? How do we combat comparison? The first thing is to reframe it. So basically, often comparison is unfair to us. We are looking at someone else's achievements and their amazing things, and then we compare that to our frustration in the practice room. Those things are not equivalent. They probably also have frustration in the practice room as well. You are comparing the wrong things. It's always, always, always unfair to us. And we will always lose that comparison in some way or another because it's unfair. So, for instance, for me, that is me comparing myself to the other oboes at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland because they have been playing the European style their whole lives and I have been playing it for a whopping month. That's not a fair comparison at all, right? So, and I remember literally I was comparing myself and then the next day I had an oboe lesson and my teacher was like, "You have been getting so much better." And literally I was like kind of excited about that and also shocked and surprised because I was like, last night I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not really like, I was comparing myself. And then literally the day after, my teacher was like, "You're really making gains with the European style." So comparison is just not real. Like, it's not true, and it's usually extremely unfair to us. So I've talked about me. How does that apply to you? Maybe you have, someone who, maybe you're like a second chair in whatever instrument you play, and there's a first chair and you're comparing yourselves to them. Trust me, I have experience with doing that. It's not helpful or beneficial at all. And so maybe that's what you're doing, or maybe you're comparing yourself to someone else, maybe more academically, or something like that. I invite you to reframe that and think, is this actually fair? What am I thinking about them? What am I thinking about me? Am I just thinking about the outsides of them? So what I mean by that is like the stuff that they've achieved, how they look on the outside in terms of like their practicing and their playing, etc. And you're comparing that to maybe how you look like in a practice room when you're, doing things that's hard for you. So that's not fair. The next thing is to use it to inspire us. So to use the fact that someone else is better than us to inspire us. We have these two options. We can either compare, or we can inspire. Well, we can be inspired. And so, for instance, instead of saying, "They're so much better than I am, oh my gosh, I feel so inadequate," try framing it as, "I'm so excited to someday sound like them." This is, for instance, one of the things that I did when I took my Peabody Institute of Music audition. I was stood outside in that hallway listening to this girl, so much better than I was, all that confidence left, and one of the things that I did was I let her sound, her tone, her playing inspire me, right? Instead of being like, "Oh my gosh, it's so much better, I can't, ugh," I was like, "Oh my gosh, her articulation is so clean. I cannot wait to be able to do that someday." Or, "Oh my gosh, her tone, her intonation is amazing. I'm enjoying her sound, her performance right now." I let myself be inspired by how good she was. And I think inspiration is so important. We need inspiration as musicians. And so, for instance, when I'm there in my oboe class or in my performance class at the RCS, the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, I invite myself to be inspired by the people who are playing in front of me, who have had way more years of experience playing the European style of oboe than I have. And I just invite myself to be inspired by their sound, by their intonation, by their tone, by their articulation and think, that's what I'll be someday. That's so freaking exciting. And I have them here to inspire me and also to help me along the way. Like, that's amazing, right? So cool, so cool. The third thing is to have a practical aspect to it. So if you are comparing yourself, maybe talk to the people who you are comparing yourself to. So if you are saying, oh my gosh, this person's so much better than me, ask them for help. Maybe not, oh my gosh, can you help me be better? That's a bit general. But if maybe you have a question about articulation, or maybe a fingering on, maybe a note, or something like that, ask them. Or maybe say, how do you get your tone so clean? Or how, do you have any exercises for articulation? More often than not, they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I have these or this. More often than not, they will be happy to help you. And I think that is so extremely, extremely important, right? And that also kind of humanizes them to be just more helpful, right? That takes it from your mind putting them on a pedestal and being like, oh my gosh, they're so good, I'll never be that good, to, oh my gosh, they're so good, and they're gonna help me, and they're inspiring. Like, this is great. So, for me, with the Peabody Institute of Music audition, one of the practical things that I did was when the girl in front of me, when she got out of her audition, I smiled at her and I complimented her. I was like, that was so good. That was an amazing audition. I really enjoyed listening to it. And it was just, a moment of me complimenting her and her smiling at me. I talk about this in the second episode of the podcast, literally the second episode. Oh my gosh. I talk about it, and I talk about the idea of a contagious smile. I smiled at her, she smiled at me, which made me smile more. So when I got into the audition, I was smiling, which made the judges smile, and that set the whole tone for my audition. So it was just even more helpful in that sense. So make it more practical. These people around you, even if you are comparing yourself to them, they can help you. They can be an inspiration. You can talk to them. It's okay. And all of these things can really help you to get just to get rid of the comparison and turn it into inspiration and excitement to be where you are. Because I'm at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland right now, literally my dream school, so freaking amazing, and it's just so much fun, and I'm around so many amazing musicians who, yes, are so much better than me, but I cannot wait to be inspired. Well, I already am inspired, but to have them, help me along the way, because that's what we're all here for. Musicians lift musicians up, right? So, so, so important. I think that the group of oboes that I work with are so absolutely incredible. I am so lucky to study at the RCS, and I want you to kind of take what I'm saying and turn it into your situation. Whatever you're doing, draw the good bits from it. Maybe you are comparing yourself with someone else, but you're actually in a youth orchestra that you really wanted to get into, and now you're in it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in this amazing youth orchestra. Yes, I'm struggling with comparison with maybe some other musicians, but look how far I've come, right? Or if it's a band that you wanted to get in, or something else, even if it's literally like, I just started the instrument yesterday, and I'm surrounded by so many people who are so much better than I am, but I cannot wait for them to help me and inspire me on my journey. That is so valuable. So valuable, right? So good. Yeah. So that's kind of it. Let's do a bit of a recap. So the first thing is to reframe your kind of mind for how you're going to do this. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, they're so much better, I feel so inadequate, I feel like I don't belong here, etc., reframe it to be, oh my gosh, their articulation is so good, I cannot wait to sound like that. Or I'm so much inspired by how good they sound, and I'm so grateful that they're, working with me for this period of time. All of these things. And also realize that comparison is unfair. It is unfair. We are looking at someone else's highlights compared to our, struggles and not highlights. It's also the same with Instagram. Literally, Instagram is a highlight reel, and if we could let that, get into our comparison and feel inadequate because of that, that's literally not fair. Not fair to us. So be fair to yourself and realize that comparison is usually just a bunch of assumptions and also just not fair. It's just not fair. The next thing is turning it into inspiration, using it to inspire us. So if you are comparing yourself to someone, take that and use it to inspire you. Be like, oh my gosh, this person is so much better. I'm going to let myself be inspired by how much better they are, rather than feeling it as a comparison and getting defensive. And the third thing is to have a practical aspect to it. Do not let them be on this pedestal in your mind. Talk to them, compliment them, ask them for help. This can help you feel more equipped and feel like, you guys are just working together. And yes, they might be better than you, but that's an amazing gift to have someone who's better than you work with you, right? So good, so good. All right, that is about it for this episode. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed chilling with me, hanging out with me, you can receive emails from me. You can get emails from me, cute, cozy music practice emails. I send them out to you if you want. You can sign up. The link is in the show notes or the description, depending on where you are watching this or listening to this. Just to click the link, sign up, and you'll get some emails from me. I give you emails on so many different things, from some cool blog posts that I write about practicing, about auditioning, podcast episodes, also just updates on things I'm doing. And you can always respond to these emails and we can start a conversation. That's perfectly fine too. And that's, I love it when I hear from you. And so if that's something that you're into, and if you want to just hang out more, let's do that. Let's have this go, right? So click the link in the show notes or the description and let's get this started. All right, that's about it for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give the podcast a follow, or the video a subscribe, depending on where you're watching this from. And I will see you in the next episode. All right, take care. Bye-bye.